What's going on, guys? This is episode number 3 of the Standing Room Only podcast. It's already been 3 weeks. It doesn't feel like it. This day comes up fast every single week. To everyone listening and that have listened to all the podcast episodes so far, thank you for that. Whether be it on Spotify or YouTube at the moment, it is available on both. It will be podcasts in the future will be available around midnight. Towards Wednesday every single week for Spotify, and then it'll be uploaded in the afternoon on Wednesdays on YouTube. So if you want just the audio version, you guys will get it super early on Wednesday for your drive to work, your workout, whatever. If you enjoy watching the video, it'll be out on Wednesday.
Yeah, so to follow up what Healy was saying, we had some issues getting onto Spotify, but we are finally on Spotify, so make sure you do follow, download the episodes, whatever you can do to support. We are on, as you mentioned, YouTube as well, the Standing Room Only podcast. That's the same thing for Spotify. Twitter, SR Only Pod, same thing as Instagram, SR Only Pod, so you can follow us on social media for updates on there as well. We have an interesting week of sports going on. We had a wild week in the NFL.
Yeah, starting off with the game of the week, possibly the game of the year, Seahawks at San Francisco. That was a weird way of saying it. Seattle at San Fran.
At San Fran, yeah. No, I knew what you meant. Yeah, it was definitely a wild game. Obviously, we saw Seattle come out victorious due to a missed field goal by San Francisco at the end of the game by their rookie kicker that's filling in for Robbie Gould. Overall, fun, exciting, hopefully, potentially, an NFC Conference Championship game.
Yeah, possibly.
We definitely saw the 49ers get exposed a little bit. Seattle.
Russell Wilson looked like the MVP that he's been all year. He did throw a pick in overtime, tried putting a nice touch on a ball, but for the most part, I'm not going to judge his performance off that one play. He looked fantastic. He led a few good drives, or like a lot of good drives from them, especially against a good San Francisco defense. Now, in the previous couple of podcasts, Goose and I have talked about San Fran, if they're legit or not.
Yep.
We have figured out after that game, we could say, even though they lost, they are 100% legit, and they are a Super Bowl contender. They could definitely make it out of the NFC. Their defense, unbelievable. Nick Bosa, great. Richard Sherman playing amazing again.
Against his old team as well, so that was nice to see. Overall, San Francisco did lose the game, but we saw a lot from them, as Healy was just saying. As I predicted, each quarterback was on their back. So both defenses were getting to the quarterbacks. Russell Wilson definitely was hit a lot more, I want to say, than Garoppolo, but managed to scramble out a lot and doing what he does best, rolling out of the pocket, hitting his target. Each quarterback threw an interception, ultimately coming down to overtime, but there was a lot going on in that game.
There was a bunch of drop passes from San Fran. If the wide receivers for them had hands, they might have blown out the Seahawks, but drop passes led to punts, and the Seattle defense played great. They were getting to Jimmy G a lot. I think they had a decent return pick. I could be wrong.
Yeah, there was an interception. I think one interception got
Clowney got the fumble. There was a fumble.
Clowney did have a fumble where they scored the touchdown, the defensive touchdown. I think the wildest play, and it could have been a different ending in that, was DK Metcalf had that long catch where he almost scored the touchdown, and he got stripped because he refused to go down. As we've seen in history, usually you just want to go down as a player. You don't see that often from him. I know he's a rookie. I wouldn't call it a rookie mistake. It was just a very good defensive play. But that could have been a completely different ballgame if he actually ended up if he just went down on that play. Chris Carson, I think, fumbled, but they recovered that one, right? So there was a couple different turnovers in the game. So it was nice back and forth. 49ers in the fourth quarter, that comeback was nice. I think Jimmy G's, let's just say he's good. He's definitely what they need there in San Francisco.
Yeah. He's a good game manager. I forgot who fumbled it. It was either Carson or Russell Wilson at one point, but he fumbled it. The offensive lineman got the ball and tried running with it, and then he fumbled. He got stripped.
He got
for
stripped.
A touchdown.
Yep.
All he had to do was go down on that one.
That was when Russ got hit. He bobbled the ball. The lineman grabbed it and tried running with it. Yeah. I don't know what he was trying to do there. I feel like rule of thumb is if you're a lineman or if you are 280 plus, just fall on the ball. You have no business running with a football.
And there's a play, I can't remember if it was the fourth quarter. I think it was overtime. Russell Wilson almost got sacked. He just got like his jersey grabbed. His feet were still moving. And they called forward progress instead of allowing him to run.
Yeah, because he ended up getting a few yards out of that play. But the refs did rule him down.
It was like 3rd and 20 afterwards, and he made a sick play.
Yeah.
Rolled out.
That was, yeah. I guess that could have won either way. Protect the quarterback.
It worked out in the end.
It did. It did work out for them. Overall, I still think if they went back at it again, I think the 49ers might be able to edge them out. I mean, they were at home.
49ers made a lot of mistakes. They gave too many points to Seattle and allowed them to get a huge lead, which the 49ers had to fight back. But
yeah, I would say the first half was a very strong showing on both defensive sides there. They won in a halftime 10-7. Seattle in the third quarter shut them out, scored 14, and I thought that was it, and 49ers battled back. And 49ers, they have really fast offense. And the receivers have some hands, minus the couple of drops. They had some nice catches, too, over the middle.
And they have Emmanuel Sanders now.
Emmanuel Sanders, that's right.
In trade. He's a pretty good one.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders was a huge acquisition for them. I would say they needed him to kind of benefit, because they've had a good run game all year. And I think after this game, nobody really ran the ball that well. They didn't run that much, but they're known for having one of their 2 or 3 backs, one of them breaking out because of how fast they are. They're shifty. But again, Seattle's defense, they gave up a couple of long runs, but I would say overall it came down to the passing game, and both teams played well, gave up big plays, and 27-24 ending.
I thought the game was going to end in a tie, especially after the missed field goal from the 49ers, which led to the field goal down the other end.
He's a rookie kicker, right? He was undrafted for Robbie Gould. Robbie Gould was kind of a last-minute scratch for them. He's been dealing with an injury. Chase McLaughlin, is that his name? 3 for 4. He did boot a 47-yarder. So
to tie up the game.
Yeah, so for him, and that was right down the middle, could have won for 55. For him to shank that kick, that had to be nerves. Because if you watch that kick, the snap, laces were out, everything was perfect. You're at home, and you kick it into the tunnel and probably hit the beer guy.
Yeah. Definitely game of the year, though. We hyped it up last week. We said it was going to be the game of the week. And I don't know if another game this year will beat that, especially going into overtime and just the crazy plays that happened. Tough defenses. There was a decent amount of points, but defense was there. It was great.
I would say we saw maybe the 2 best games of the year this past week. Green Bay and Carolina ended in dramatic fashion. The snow was coming down, the frozen tundra in Lambeau. Christian McCaffrey, arguably the best back in the game right now, gets the ball. And he gets stopped an inch away from the goal line. From what we can tell, both angles were hard to see in the challenge. Packers win the game. They go into the bye week 8-2. I think that was easily second best game of the week. I don't know if I'm going to say the best game of the year, but it was definitely a really good game to watch. Not just because I'm a Packers fan, but it was interesting to see because Aaron Rodgers, if you look at him statistically in that game, didn't really blow up. If you watch the game, if you look at statistics, you're going to think, okay, fantasy, he put up 7 points, 8 points. He only passed for 200 and some odd yards. But if you actually watch the game, he made the plays that counted. And that's where Aaron Rodgers, that's what he does best. There was a pass where he hit Devontae Adams. The defender didn't see the pass. Devontae Adams caught it in the smallest window I've ever seen Rodgers hit a receiver. That eventually led to an Aaron Jones touchdown, who had 3 touchdowns on the game. I would say that was a really fun game to watch as well.
I think the Chiefs and Titans might beat that one.
You know what? That end was wild. My heart was broken for the Chiefs.
35-32. Titans won from a last-second Tannehill touchdown. But the players of the game for that one, you had Patrick Mahomes coming back, throwing 50 passes, 446 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Monster game.
And then you had, on the other side of the ball, Derrick Henry running for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Derrick Henry, I never give him the benefit of the doubt, but he is a tank. For somebody that's as big as him to run consistently over 100 yards and to do it, granted, the Chiefs defense, they do give up big plays, but to put up almost 200 yards in this game, Tannehill, he did okay. His quarterback rating was better than Mahomes, even though he only had 181 yards. I think that game, hands down, went to, I would say was the second best game. Tannehill with the last-second touchdown. I don't know if you saw at the end of that game, though, there was the field goal that got missed. So it came down. I think it was like 2 plays. Mahomes drives down the field with 20 seconds. They get down, last-second field goal, and Harrison Butker barely misses the field goal to send it into OT. So we had some wild finishes this week. That was definitely one of the biggest heartbreaks right there.
It says it was blocked.
Or you know what? I lied. It was blocked. That kick was definitely blocked. Somebody had jumped the snap. I forgot who it was exactly. But that was a blocked kick. That's what I remember, because that was definitely a wild finish there.
Talking about the Bears, they pulled out a W, barely, over the Lions.
Yeah, that was
Trubisky, he looked okay. He passed for 3 touchdowns, but he's still not the best.
I don't know. I think that's the Pro Bowl Trubisky everybody's been waiting for.
Yeah, 173 yards and 3 touchdowns.
A whopping 173 yards. Overall, Trubisky definitely did what he needed to do. Manage the football game. He locked up with Allen Robinson quite a bit, which is obviously a security blanket in Chicago and always has been since he's been there. The Bears defense played really well. I don't know how much we can say, though, because Matt Stafford was out of the game.
Yeah, they were facing Jeff Driscoll.
Jeff Driscoll, who ran the ball really well. He did okay, passing-wise. I saw a few drops by Kenny Golladay that normally he doesn't drop. So that was definitely a deciding factor.
Driscoll led the team in rushing.
How many yards did he have?
37. Oh, he had 37 rushing yards, and he led the team by 1 yard over the running back.
Yeah. But you know what? I feel like that's going to be the case more times than not against the Chicago Bears defense if you have a quarterback who's not scared to use his legs. We saw David Montgomery put up 60 yards I would say they're starting to utilize him a lot more. I think 17 rush attempts still isn't enough, but they got the job done here, the W.
Yeah, only 3.5 yards. You would like to see that like over 4 at least, but we'll have to see what happens with that.
That all comes down to usually a big run. That's like with Derrick Henry in Tennessee. He ends up breaking 1 or 2 runs for 60 yards. His average per carry is always going to be high. We saw Tariq Cohen get into the end zone on a little route. Nobody can keep up with him. He's still, to me, one of the shiftiest and fastest guys on the field, especially when he has the football.
Saw a big blow to the Bears defense. Danny Trevathan broke his arm.
His arm is broken.
Did you see the video?
I did not. I don't know if I want to see it.
No, you don't want to. He broke his elbow. His arm goes on the ground.
Yeah.
And the Lions player falls with, and it bends the opposite way.
Ouch.
So there's like a video of it. Doesn't look great. He's going to be out a while. And I think he was suspended this year, so he's barely played on the defense.
Yeah. I saw somebody stepped in for him that played really
Kwiatkowski.
Kwiatkowski, yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. I just know it's a little bit different.
He was all over the field when he did step in. Khalil Mack, again, quiet, no sacks. He's been extremely quiet the past few weeks.
I can't tell if he's just shut down or he's just not getting there this year. I think teams are just game planning a little bit better against him this year.
Yeah, which, I mean, he's been in the league for a few years. You would think by now, or even before this season, teams would have planned for it. I think it's a combination of that and the Bears defense is just always on the field. So over time, I mean, you have to start getting drained somewhere. And I've seen Khalil Mack. I mean, we've all seen Khalil Mack where he's constantly in the quarterback's face. But, I mean, he's human and it shows. See him on the sideline quite a bit when they're losing time of possession. This week, though, was a little bit different for them. They played a manageable game. Trubisky, I think this is it. Just let him make the sure passes. Game plan, pass the ball downfield a little bit more.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think that's it for Detroit, I would say, with the way the division
5
is.
losses, especially a tie. They're technically 3-6 right now. 6 losses isn't going to make the cut.
Correct.
The Bears are 4-5. They're technically back in the hunt now, which is great. But the 2 teams that have the wild card position have 7 wins.
Yeah, the Bears are going to have to win out. I don't know if, well, for one, the 49ers in the West and Seattle. One of those teams, I don't know who, is guaranteed the wild card spot. Minnesota's playing extremely well. They just beat the Cowboys. Kirk Cousins didn't make the mistakes that everybody thought he was going to make against this Dallas defense.
Especially in prime time. He's normally not great
He's normally not great at all. You still have the Rams, who can pick it up at any moment. The Eagles, Carolina. I don't know if I see the Bears sneaking in, maybe, for that second wildcard spot, but they would have to play lights out every week. They still have to face Green Bay again. I'm
pretty sure Minnesota again.
Yeah, Minnesota one more time.
So, like, if they win out and they do win those games, then, yeah, they could make it, but it's a long shot.
Yeah, it's a long shot. Trubisky would have to pick it up, manage the game a little bit more. David Montgomery would have to run the ball. Defense has been playing well, though. So every game they have a chance because of their defense. It's just a matter of which Trubisky are they going to get. They're going to get Pro Bowl Trubisky, or are they going to get 2019 Trubisky? So a couple of other games to note, too. We saw Atlanta blow out the Saints.
With Drew Brees starting.
Drew Brees was starting. Kamara's back.
That was wild. It was in New Orleans.
It was in New Orleans. We saw Drew Brees get sacked 6 times in that game. Even then, him getting sacked 6 times to not put up a single touchdown for this offense says a lot. And I know Atlanta was 1-7 going into the week. Are they truly a 1-7 team though? I don't think so.
I don't think so either, especially with Matt Ryan at quarterback.
Yeah,
they're never going to be a bottom of the barrel.
They still have Julio to throw to. Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage looked pretty good for somebody that I had no idea who that was before that game. Michael Thomas, Jared Cook. Statistically, you look at the Saints and you're like, wow. Michael Thomas, 152 yards. Jared Cook, 74 yards. And only 9 points? You don't win football games with 9 points.
No.
Especially when you're giving up 26 to Atlanta, which we know the Saints defense does give up the plays. They give up the points. I was torn on who would be considered the top NFC teams for that second spot, whether if that was Green Bay or New Orleans. I would say right now, going into the bye week for Green Bay, I would say they'd have the number 2 spot. Maybe number 3, because that whole Seattle, San Francisco thing, we don't know what's going on over there as far as who's the better team. But to see the Saints lose like this, that's a huge blow for them. But only their second loss on the season, so we'll see.
Yeah, there's a lot more winnable games for them. The game that we also wanted to talk about for hitting the record tonight, Lamar Jackson. The Ravens destroyed Cincinnati, and Lamar Jackson was lights out. Yet again, another great game from him.
I don't know if we'll ever see a bad game from him or where we draw the line on what a bad game is. Maybe he doesn't break 15 tackles, break ankles. That run that he had, that he ran to the house, he made like 3 or 4 guys miss. And the first thing it reminds me of, what's the first thing you think of?
Michael Vick.
Michael Vick.
And I think he will be better than Michael Vick throughout his career. He'll be the better quarterback passing-wise. I think he'll be better running-wise. Like, you won't get maybe like the 1,000-yard season that Mike Vick had at one point, but over the span of his career, I think he'll easily be better than Michael Vick. I think he's more of a smarter passer, and he makes the throws. Vick had an arm.
But his
accuracy was
always questionable. We know he can throw the ball 60, 65 yards downfield. We saw him do it with Philadelphia a few times.
His durability issues, too.
Yeah.
But, like, Lamar's a more built guy compared to Mike Vick. He was a little on the smaller side.
That is true. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, I mean, even his neck is built. Like, I've never seen a guy with a more defined neck. He's got it all. He's got, 15 touchdowns on the year, passing, only 5 interceptions. His completion percentage is high. He's at 66%. He's on pace for 1,000 yards on the ground.
That's pretty good then. Also, Mike Vick is 6 feet. Lamar Jackson is 6'2", so not too big of a difference.
Jackson's a little bit bigger, but not too much of a difference.
Yeah, I think he might have a little more weight.
Who's faster? I wonder who ran a faster 40.
I'm pretty sure Lamar would have.
Yeah.
He would have ran sub 4.4, I think.
Man.
Which is great. Great to see.
And everybody is talking about how he's just a running back in the league. Clearly not.
Or a wide receiver.
He's got it all. I like this Ravens team. I think with him behind center, the defense making plays, granted, they beat up on a horrible Cincinnati team. The way they execute every down, granted, they did have to punt, I believe, a couple of times in this game. It's 49-13 against Cincinnati.
They punted once in the fourth quarter.
Once.
In the fourth quarter, when they were already up by a lot.
They have weapons everywhere. We've seen them put up 40 points in this game. We've seen them put up 37 points the week before against a Patriots defense who I don't even think gave up 37 points all season. Barely.
They had like 80-something total.
80-something total. This team, I would say, is easily a top 2, top 3 contender in the AFC. Hands down. And simply because Lamar Jackson is a highlight reel. He makes the right play. He's not scared to run. He's not scared to throw the ball down the field. He loves the deep pass. We saw him hit Hollywood Brown, which I called last week. And overall, with that defense, they got it all right now. And
the defense is looking great. And then what John Harbaugh has done with that offense, they didn't have like an offense and put Lamar Jackson in it and was like, all right, you have to run our offense. They said, all right, Lamar Jackson is going to be our main guy, and we're going to build around him. We're going to make our playbook around him.
That was the smart. I mean, that was the best thing that he could have done. Because before, they've had to deal with Joe Flacco, who at one point was a good quarterback. I wouldn't say he was terrible even when he left. He started to get really bad. But you can't do much with that. He's a pocket passer. You have to hope that you have some receivers. Make sure they run the right routes. With Lamar Jackson, every guy on the defense, all 11 players, is on their toes. They're going to be running zone. They're going to have quarterback spies. Somebody's going to get open, and you throw in speed and a good running back in Mark Ingram, who I don't know if this guy's ever going to slow down. I feel like he's been doing it for the last 30 years.
He's always a solid fantasy pickup. He gets you the yards. Did you see the formation that they ran?
The Heisman package?
Yeah. The Heisman package.
Incredible. That was to see that play and to see Lamar. And that's what they're having fun out there. And that's what you want to see out of a football team. Lamar Jackson, I think after the game said, we ran the Heisman package. He had his boy RG3. He gave him a shot because Lamar Jackson technically didn't have to run. He didn't have to lateral that ball.
Mm-hmm.
But he did it because he knew RG3 had just enough of an opening to just let loose. And he got some yardage out of it. RG3 still has some legs. So I think to integrate something like that, now defenses, scouts are like, holy shit. They just added RG3 to a package, which adds more speed to this team. How do you stop that?
It's kind of like the use of the Saints with Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Taysom Hill, he's a utility man.
He's their kickoff returner. He passes a couple times, but RG3, he's a backup in the league now. He'll never really start.
He'll never start.
But in that offense, a speed type offense, they run the fast break. They're like a basketball team where they take no time to get down the field.
Just speed.
And just go at your throat every single
play. Exactly. Again, it was timed perfectly. It was a perfect game to do it. You're already blowing out Cincinnati, which we already assumed it was going to be a blowout. But to see that happen, it was nice to see. Baltimore, 7-2, first in the AFC North.
I think they'll close out that division.
Yeah, they're definitely going to close out that division.
Who's behind them? You got the Browns, who are 3-6.
Pittsburgh's 5-4. Pittsburgh's been surprisingly
Pittsburgh's
good.
5-4.
Their defense has been pretty hot. Minka Fitzpatrick, I think, has had five interceptions in 7 games. Yeah, that's unheard of. That's like Troy Polamalu-esque. So for him to come in and do that, add some flair to that defense, that Pittsburgh's offense ever gets going, if maybe they start passing the ball more to Juju, James Conner gets going, I think they can slide in as a wild card. The AFC, they're kind of a weak conference.
Yeah, especially defense-wise.
Yeah,
you have the Patriots up at the top. You have the Ravens. You have the Texans. You have the Bills. And then you have the Chiefs, who are just all right. They're 6-4. The Chiefs, we'll have to see because Patty Mahomes is back. They have to go on a streak, especially if they want to make the playoffs. I think they're leading the West, though.
They are leading the West by, it looks like half a game. So Kansas City's played 10, so they haven't had their bye week yet. Oakland's 5-4. Oakland's been a surprise this year. They kind of dealt with early drama with Antonio Brown. They made the move to get rid of him, which is showing to be paying, to pay off. Josh Jacobs is having a hell of a year. I'm glad I drafted him in my fantasy league.
The defense is playing well.
Defense is playing well.
I saw a stat on Twitter comparing a few players. I don't know if they were from the Bears draft picks, but they said 3 different Oakland players have 13 sacks on the year, all these other stats. And Khalil Mack has 4 sacks.
He has 4 sacks, yeah.
So that defense is playing well.
It makes John Gruden almost look like a genius to come in and clean house. I never would have expected them to be making a push. 5-4 normally, I'd say it's kind of it's still a toss-up. But with the AFC being as weak as they are so far, minus a couple of teams, I could see them sneaking in as a wild card team.
Especially with 6-3 as being like a wild card spot. 6-4 is that spot right now. Or no, 6-3 with the Bills, and then you have 5-4 for everyone else. So they're tied technically for the wild card spot at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the Bills with the 5th seed, Steelers with the 6th seed. Steelers, again, it's one of those toss-ups. Raiders could sneak in. The Colts were good. They're dealing with quarterback injuries. Brissett not playing. They have Hoyer backing him up.
They just lost to the Dolphins.
They lost to the Miami Dolphins, the high school football team in the NFL. Titans might get some momentum. Tannehill is a way better option than Mariota, and it's showing that way. He's managing the game a lot better. Their defense is okay. The run game is good. Jacksonville. This week is, I think, going to be a deciding factor for Jacksonville. They have Nick Foles coming back.
They're going up against the Colts.
Yeah, so that game right there is going to decide. Because if the Colts win, Jacksonville's falling another game behind. Because the Colts are ahead of them. I feel like Jacksonville's going to win that football game. With their defense, with Nick Foles coming back, I like Nick Foles. He's a weird quarterback. It's like he's good when he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Fournette, obviously running like a dog back there. Who else? Chargers. That's pretty much it. I don't know if I can see the Chargers really doing anything.
They're 4-6. They might be able to make a push, but we've seen them lose to some bad teams and beat some good teams, so we don't really know. Like they lost barely to Oakland. That would have pushed them 5-5.
That was a good football game too. That was a very good football game.
And the Chargers are playing the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. This week in the NFL, we started off Thursday Night Football, Steelers at Browns. That game's going to be great.
Oh, that's going to be a good game.
Browns need this win. They need it.
Browns at this point have to win out. They're 3-6. They win out. They can go 10-6. I would say they go to the playoffs.
Yeah, 10 wins I think gets you in.
10 wins definitely gets you in. I can see the Browns winning that game.
It's at home and a Thursday night game. So
I feel like that calls for a Browns. Yeah, that calls for a Browns victory there. It all depends. We'll see how Baker Mayfield performs against the Steelers defense. Steelers defense has been stepping it up.
And the Steelers need that win. They're currently fighting for a wild card spot.
Exactly. They're fighting for that wild card spot. They're playing right now. Yeah, they're the 6th seed. So
other notable games: Texans at Ravens, 1:00. That might be the best game of the 1:00 slate, and probably a must-watch game. You do have the Cowboys, the Panthers playing then. You have the Vikings playing then, but like Saints, Bucks. But none of these good teams are playing anyone great. Ravens, Texans, 1:00. Try to watch that.
Yeah, I would say Ravens, Texans is definitely the game of the week.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like the Sunday night game could sneak in.
Bears, Rams?
Bears could be a weird one. I feel like the Bears can play the Rams pretty well.
Both teams aren't great this year.
They're not. They're not at all. The Rams, they were exposed in the Super Bowl. Going into the season, they've had a weird year. Last week, Cooper Kupp had 0 catches, which was odd to see because every week he's played, he's dominated. 10 catches, 11 catches here and there. Bears defense, if they can shut down that Rams offense and make the right plays, I don't see how the Rams, or if the Rams win, I don't see it being a blowout.
I think it'll be like last year where the game was like 13-3. Or like, what was the final score of the Bears? I think it was like 9-6
or
9-3 or something small. It wasn't great.
Yeah, it was a close game. Both defenses played extremely well.
Both offenses crumbled.
Yeah, it was so the final score to that game was 6-15 in Chicago. that it was a cold game. The Rams coming to Chicago, playing in our winter that we have here, that we have today, which is horrible. It's a little bit different. I believe the Rams are home this game.
Yes, it's in Los Angeles.
It's in LA. So weather's not going to really play a factor. I think it's going to come down to turnover battle. If whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win the game. That's what I'm going to call right
Time
now.
of possession, too.
Time of possession is always big. Yeah, especially with the Bears defense always on the field most of the season. What's the spread on that game? Do we have a spread?
I don't have one at the moment.
Let's see here. Let's see if I can find a spread.
It's supposed to be 87 that day, so yeah, not bad.
87 degrees in LA. Must be nice.
The Monday night game, Chiefs at Chargers. Go over that in just a second.
Okay, so they're giving the Rams 6.5, which I think is a fair odd, I guess we can call it. I would definitely take that line. I would go against that line and say if the Rams win, maybe a field goal. But it all depends again on Trubisky.
Goff's not that great either. It's going to be what bad offense can play better against that. I think there's going to be a lot of field goals.
Definitely a lot of field goals. It's going to be big plays. We might see David Montgomery or Tariq Cohen break loose for a 30-yard play towards the end of the game. Or vice versa, we might get a Gurley or one of these great receivers that the Rams have, a Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods catches a long ball, and it comes down to that last second field goal. I think ultimately, I expect a lot of turnovers in this game, maybe 2 per team. Bears need this.
Yeah, this is a must-win.
For the fact that they're ranked 30th in almost all stats, and to still have a fighter's chance to go to the playoffs, it's now or never for this team.
Especially being 4-5, you go to 4-6, not looking likely. Especially with a team who already has 8 wins up at the top. You have another team, the Vikings. They have 7.
They have 7 wins, and it's the NFC. If we were talking about the AFC, you have 6 losses. Okay, you still have a chance, but this is completely different conference. A lot of hungrier teams in the NFC than what it seems like in the AFC. Do or die for the Bears. We saw the Lions lose. They're done. Bears lose. I would say they're done. Yeah, that's going to be it right there.
Game I skipped over. Patriots-Eagles. Super Bowl rematch from a couple years ago. Won't get Nick Foles with the Philly special. You'll actually get Carson Wentz out there this time. Patriots off of a bye week. They need a dub. They haven't won in 2 weeks, technically, because they didn't win last week with the bye week. And then they lost going in the bye week. I think Bill Belichick is going to get this team in check, and Tom Brady's going to have a great game.
Yeah, they're giving the Patriots a 3-point spread. I think I think it should definitely be like a 7-point spread for the Patriots. Patriots, though, they can afford to lose. If they end up losing to this Eagles team, and the Eagles have been playing pretty well, I don't see Buffalo winning out. Buffalo's been playing well, but are they going to really keep it up?
I don't think they're a great, like, their record shows they're decent. Their defense is pretty good. But, like, as a team, I don't see them as, I see them as a playoff team, not really a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, no, I don't see them taking the division. Josh Allen, if you look at his statistics, you do see the high interception count. He does turn the ball over. But he's one of those quarterbacks who does manage the game when he needs to, and he'll run for it when he needs to. I think he's got 6 touchdowns on the year rushing. So, but I still think that the Patriots should come out up top, on top of the Eagles this week, even though they could afford to lose. We talked about Houston and Baltimore. I would definitely say is going to be potentially game of the week. That's pretty much it. I would say Bears-Rams is another good one to watch.
Yeah, and then Chiefs-Chargers.
Chiefs-Chargers, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Thursday night game is going to be a fun one to watch. So.
A lot of great primetime games. So NFL did a great job this week. Thursday, you have great games. Sunday, you have a great game. And then Monday night, good divisional game. I don't know if you heard, San Fran and Green Bay, week 12, they just got flexed to the Sunday night spot.
I knew it. We talked about that. We definitely talked about that. I don't know if it was on camera or off camera. But so they're going to be playing the primetime game. That's week 12, correct? You said?
Yeah, so I think we're in week 11 now.
Yeah, it's week 11 right now. Packers have their bye week. So we're going to have San Francisco hosting Green Bay. That's going to be a huge game. That's another potential NFC conference showdown, NFC championship game showdown, I should say. It's kind of early. They already have the spreads out. Right now, early odds are 3.5 on San Francisco. I think that's fair. Even though I have faith in my Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. But 49ers at home and that scary defense. I'm looking forward to that. But we'll talk more on that next week.
I think that's pretty much it for the NFL for this week.
Yeah, one thing I want to hit on, too, I kind of hit on it last week, were some quick picks for daily fantasy sports if you play. This is in reference to FanDuel. A must-buy this week. I think every week what I want to do is a must-buy and a flex, like a budget buy. Last week my must was Lamar Jackson, and we saw what he did. And my flex or my budget buy was Hollywood Brown.
And they both went
off. This week, a must-buy would have to be Christian McCaffrey. Even though he is super expensive, he's playing Atlanta. Atlanta's known to give up some big plays. Christian McCaffrey, coming off that dramatic loss, knowing every game from here on out counts, is going to continue to be a workhorse. A budget buy, I'm still waiting to see if he plays. If D.D. Westbrook comes back with Nick Foles at quarterback, I think could see a lot of targets. It all depends. He's questionable right now. If not, I'm going to fall back on Russell Gage in Atlanta. He got a few looks. If you need just maybe 8 to 10 points, I would say Russell Gage would be a good budget buy there. So those are my 2 to 3 picks. You can thank me later. But I think that's it for NFL. I'll transition over to the National Basketball Association.
Quick thing before we get into that. If you guys have any like fantasy guys that we should play or whatever, hit up the Twitter.
Yeah, hit us up.
Like reply to the Twitter, tweet at the Twitter, or you could hit us up individually. Both our ats will be linked to that account. And we'd be down to talk fantasy, or if you want us to like talk about someone on the next show, just let us know. Yeah,
definitely hit us up on social media. We're always on there. Always down to talk fantasy. I'm always down to talk fantasy. Instagram, Twitter, I would say just tweet us. That's probably the best form.
Yeah.
Communication. But definitely reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to talk that with you.
Yeah, NBA though, the Lakers, they're still hot.
Yep.
I think they only have 2 losses now.
Yeah, they have 2 losses. Just lost the other day to Toronto. Toronto just played hot. There is nothing they can do. LeBron didn't have too good of a game. He had a triple-double, which, okay, that's a cool stat, but he put up 13 points in that game. But overall, I would still say LA is the Lakers are the team to beat.
Mm-hmm.
The West is just always full of good teams. It's still early, but they're fun to watch. I love this Lakers team.
The Lakers, I thought, were the best team in the conference. You do have the Clippers with Paul George coming back soon. But a team that might take that number 1 spot soon, the Houston Rockets. That team is playing unbelievable basketball. They're 7-3 at the moment, but I watched them play against the Bulls. It is the Bulls, so like can't really say much about that. But I thought for sure, I said last week, I thought for sure you would have James Harden and Russell Westbrook taking a little bit step back with their stats this year. But they're both producing the same stats.
Both putting up numbers.
And it's a scoring team.
And everybody else their supporting cast is doing it too. Clint Capella's grabbing boards somehow, even though Westbrook cherry picks the boards. I thought for sure James Harden, his scoring would slow down. Not one bit. He's just as dangerous as he ever was. But keep in mind, these guys did play together back in OKC. So I'm sure they have that chemistry. They have that understanding on how each player plays. And they're amplifying each other. And that's what you like to see when you have two max player contracts together. They're on a 4-game winning streak. I would say right now between the Lakers and Houston, it's 1-2. We have the Clippers are right there. We're still waiting on Paul George. It's still early, I guess, to say any team is the best. But once Paul George comes back, I would expect a lot of big things from this Clippers team. At least out in the West.
Yeah. Surprising team of the NBA right now. The Celtics, 8-1. I didn't expect them to be 8-1. I didn't expect them to be like a super great team, but they're 8-1. Gordon Hayward was a big contributing factor.
Yep.
And now he just got surgery on his hand.
Yeah, he broke his hand in the last game, right? Or 2 years ago, yeah.
Just super unfortunate contract. He's a great player. It's just he's gotten hurt the past couple years with the Celtics. A couple unfortunate injuries.
Yeah, freak injuries too. The one where he broke his leg, like that was just a freak injury. The broken hand, I mean, he's been playing hard. He's been putting up numbers, which is what Boston fans have been waiting for, considering what he's done previously with Utah. But they are definitely the most surprising team. 8-1 on the year. And it's not just 8-1; they're on an 8-game winning streak. So they lost the first game, they won the last 8. Jaylen Brown's playing really well too. They have a good core. Just goes to show Kyrie didn't matter over there. So them letting go of Kyrie was no big deal. Kyrie, I'm pretty sure had issues over there anyways.
Well, and they picked up Kemba Walker. Who's a great player.
I love Kemba. He just knows how to score the basketball. He's just an overall good basketball player. They ended up getting rid of Horford, which was okay for them. They didn't really need him. Boston, I would say there's not really any other surprising teams out of the East. Miami's playing really well.
They've had a couple good pickups.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler came back, and he's been balling out pretty well, doing what Jimmy does best. They have arguably a Rookie of the Year candidate. They have a couple of rookies that are candidates right now for Rookie of the Year. They just beat Detroit tonight, 117-108. Jimmy Butler, 13 assists in that game. That's not something you see from Jimmy Buckets, hence the name Buckets. I really like Kendrick Nunn, the guard that they have.
See that one that went off the other day, or was that someone else?
On their team?
Yeah.
Well, he's had a couple of really good games. I think he started off the season averaging like 22, 23 points a game. Are you referring to the game against Houston?
I think so.
I don't know exactly who went off in that game. All I know is that Miami played lights out. And it wasn't just Jimmy Butler. It was everybody on that team. Did you see Deion Waiters?
Yeah, he got suspended because he passed out from like taking too many gummies on a plane.
Many gummies. I don't know what he was going for, who he got it from, if it was his first time.
Yeah, he was probably eating it like candy. They probably told him the milligrams on it, and he thought it was probably for the whole bag.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Or maybe he just doesn't like planes, and that was his remedy. And then
just had too much.
Yeah, it was a bad trip, man. Stay off the weed, right?
Yeah.
But so he's suspended, but only for a few games. He'll be back. I actually like Deion Waiters. He plays extremely well. Miami in the East, I would say right behind Boston, Milwaukee. Milwaukee we know is going to be that team. Sixers we know is going to be that team. Especially with the addition of Horford, which I didn't think was going to be that great of an addition, like for how the lineup works, considering he's a center.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid's a center. They're both big guys, but they're making it work extremely well. They have Josh Richardson there. who was in Miami. He can score the basketball extremely well.
I know Joel Embiid's more of like a center type guy, but I think the addition with Al Horford, pretty sure Al can shoot like the mid-range to 3-point ball.
He can.
But it just stretches the floor so much. Like, Embiid doesn't have to be in the lane. He could be outside then for a 3-pointer.
Yeah, Embiid can shoot, and I think that's the name of the game right now. You have these teams who want to stretch the ball. You have stretch forwards. You have so many different types. It's not a 5-position game anymore. You have 5 guys who can all play almost any position at any given moment, minus maybe the center here and there. But even then, when you have centers that can shoot the 3, makes you a deadly team, a very deadly team. I like the Sixers team. They ended up just finishing their game tonight against Cleveland, edged them out by only 1 point, which Cleveland is not playing bad. Kevin Love is doing Kevin Love things again. Tristan Thompson is a double-double machine.
He's suddenly good, and he's hitting 3-pointers.
Yeah, it's weird because Tristan Thompson coming into the league we thought was going to be top dog, and he ended up taking the back seat, being a role player when LeBron was there. Kevin Love came over. Now that he's actually seeing the minutes and there's not really anybody else to blow up for this team minus Kevin Love, I really like that Tristan Thompson is balling out. Him and Kevin Love, I like that duo right there. I love that duo. Colin Sexton's okay. He still has to get his shot down. He's averaging the points. Today he shot 8 for 18, below 50%, which as a guard, it's going to happen. 4-6 isn't bad for this Cleveland team.
No.
It's doing better than my Chicago Bulls, who actually beat the Knicks tonight. They had a fourth quarter in them. I didn't know they actually knew what a fourth quarter was.
I didn't know that they knew what a second half was.
What a second half was, yeah. Last time we saw them against New York was in New York.
We
lost. They gave up like a 12-0 run to lose the game. Bobby Portis killed them. They ended up closing out tonight. They won 102-120. Awesome victory. We saw Zach LaVine doing Zach LaVine things. He put up 25 points today. Didn't watch the game, but I'm sure he threw down a 360 somewhere. Kobe White
led the team in scoring.
Actually, no. Kobe White came off the bench.
He
put up 27 points.
Yeah, led the team. He was plus 27 when he was on the floor tonight.
That's the Kobe White we need. I mean, we knew Kobe White coming into the league was good. We just didn't know what we would get out of him when we have a crowded backcourt. The fact that we're letting him come off the bench and just shoot his heart out, eventually this guy's going to know how to get his stroke going. And he's going to start cooking, and we saw it today. We saw it in the first couple of games of the season. He had a couple games in between where we don't know what he was doing. 27 points, plus 27. That plus minus means everything in the NBA. I mean, obviously, right? It tells you how good, how efficient is your team when you're on the court. Plus 27 is remarkable.
7 of 11 for threes. That's great.
He can shoot, and he drops dimes when he needs to. I've seen him grab 6-7 boards in a game. I think right now we're still building our identity as this young team. And I've been saying it. I've been harassed on social media for saying it, but the Bulls, I can see sneaking in as the 8th seed in the East only because of how weak the East is. If it was the West, I would say there's no chance.
Mm-hmm.
But with this team, with some of the veterans that they have, with Lauri Markkanen, the potential to boom or bust any game, Wendell Carter had a couple of good games. They have talent. Once they start clicking and once they have their set starting 5, which I think Kobe White will move in, I think that they'll end up being a 500 team, and we'll see them in the playoffs.
Something I don't like seeing, the last time we had the podcast, I was looking at box scores or whatever for the Bulls. Lauri Markkanen, I remember last time he was like 0 for 7 for 3.
It was horrible.
And he had like 10 shots in the game. Today, he goes 4 for 10, 1 of 5 for 3. So he was 3 for 5 inside the 3-point line. what's up? I need to watch some more games and see what's up. Like, why doesn't he shoot inside more? Are all of the buckets inside just like layups and stuff? And why is he chucking up so many threes? And not like, I get he's a marksman, he could hit those, but I'm seeing too many games where he's just chucking up threes and not being efficient.
I feel like for his position, he comes along where he's kind of that stretch forward, right, to spread the court a little bit. For their team, I don't know who it's opening up the floor for. We have Wendell Carter Jr., who's actually not bad in the paint, so that could help him. I feel like for Markkanen, it's they let him shoot from downtown to shoot out of a funk. I don't know if they need to set more pick and rolls, pick and pops for him. I don't know what it is. But he's been having a lot of odd games. 4 for 10, 3 for 10 in the last game, 0 for 5 from downtown.
Yeah, his season stats are just okay. He's putting out 14.9 and 7.5 boards, which you like to see out of your forward, your 4-man, who's like supposed to be pretty good. But shooting wise, 38%.
Horrible.
And then 27 for 3. He's shooting like 80% from the line. Like, that's doable, but the percentages he's shooting right now aren't great.
Yeah.
Especially when his career is pretty high compared to that. His career is 42%. So not too much of a difference there. 4% still could change over the year, but like he has 35% for career 3-point, and he's shooting 27.
Which is pretty good for a power forward. It's still early in the season, so he can end up going on a streak of a lot of good games. Somebody could get hurt, knock on wood. Thaddeus Young is going to keep getting 25, 30 minutes a game the more Markkanen just isn't hitting. Thaddeus Young, this whole bench, if you look at it, Thad Young, plus 16. Chris Dunn was plus 15. I mean, overall, their bench just balled out. The Knicks, they had Marcus Morris put up 22 points. RJ Barrett had 21 points, 9 assists. I like RJ Barrett.
I think he'll be an all-star for the future.
Oh, he's definitely a future all-star. He's had a couple games where you're like, it's questionable. 3 points in one game. He get like 8 or 9 in another game. Overall, though, I think the Knicks are okay with him. I don't think they needed Zion. So they should treat him like the number 1 pick, as though they got him at number 1 and just build around him. How many wins? They have 2 wins on the season?
Yeah, one against the Bulls.
Yeah, one against the Bulls, and they beat Dallas, which was a huge win. Dallas has been a rather fun team to watch, or at least Luka and Kristaps. So, but as far as the East goes, definitely it's interesting to see in the next couple of years.
Dude, so you remember last year, the Knicks traded Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah.
And they got back Dennis Smith Jr. Today he played 14 minutes, 0 for 3, 0 points, minus 22, grabbed 0 boards. He grabbed 0 boards, 2 assists, turned over the ball 3 times, 4 fouls. This guy was supposed to be great. His career, 28 minutes a game, 14 points. This year he's averaging 8.7 minutes a game. He's shooting 9%. And he has 1 point per game.
Horrible.
I don't know what's up with that.
I thought he was the team. I think Dennis Smith Jr., if he went to a team where he can play 25, 30 minutes, his numbers would look a lot better. But the time that he has had, like you just said, he's not doing anything out there. And I don't know, as the Knicks organization, how you want to even push more minutes on him when the limited time that he's getting, he's not doing anything.
I could definitely see him being moved again. And like you have RJ Barrett starting at shooting guard, and then you have Frank Ntilikina. I can't pronounce his name. I hear it on TV. I still can't pronounce it, but the French point guard for the Knicks, they're getting all the playing time. So that's taking up Dennis Smith. I think he's just getting in and he can't get into a rhythm. And maybe the team makeup, they don't seem to have like too many outside shooters, especially the down low guys. Especially when you have Taj Gibson starting at center, you have Bobby Portis. Yeah, he just might not fit in that scheme.
I feel like right now they know they're not going to the playoff. They're not a playoff team, and if they think otherwise, they're crazy. I feel like right now you have to see who is part of the future and who isn't. And you have to try to fill the stands somehow, right? Who knows? Dennis Smith Jr., they've been limiting his minutes. He's progressively getting more. Maybe they end up giving him more. I don't know. They just have a weird team. I think they were really banking on some free agent pickups, Zion, and it obviously didn't happen. But they're playing their cool right now. 2-9. We don't expect much from them. I don't think they've expected much for themselves. I think they're going to be playing for the next couple of years. At least what it's looking like.
Yeah, that was just like a random player who I thought was pretty decent, and I guess he hasn't been doing anything.
Yeah. But a couple days ago, we saw, I guess aside from that team in the East, just in general, we saw D'Angelo Russell.
And then Dame put up
50
plus each
the same night. That was incredible. It gives the Warrior fans some hope. Or it did, but now Steph Curry's probably maybe shut down for the season. We don't know.
I did not hear anything on that.
They said, yeah, he's going to be out for a while. They don't know exactly on how long he's going to be out now.
And don't rush him back. They're 2-9 at the moment.
Yeah, there's no need. D'Angelo Russell's good, but just let him tank.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's not even tanking because your team's not even that good, but... And then we saw Draymond Green got ejected from the last game, arguing with the refs, per usual.
Yeah, the Warriors lost that game. That Russell put up 52 as well.
Yeah,
they lost
that says a lot right there.
Do you think the Warriors trade D'Angelo Russell with how bad this season's gone then? Do you think he gets moved? Because at the end of the year, you get Klay,
Thompson
Steph,
back,
and then Draymond back next year, and maybe you get some decent players for Russell this year, especially if Russell goes off.
If he's putting up 50 points here and there, that's trade bait right there. I mean, I'm sure there's some teams out there that would love to have D'Angelo Russell, especially after the year he had last year in Brooklyn. It'd be interesting to see what the trade block's looking like in the next couple of months as it gets closer to the All-Star game and the trade deadline. At this point, as bad as they are, if I was in their front office, I'd probably look to at least listen to offers to see what you can get. Maybe you get somebody as good, a little bit cheaper, so you can have some money for the free agency.
Yeah, he could definitely be a move for the future. The Suns, they're a little bit surprising, still 6-3. They've been playing all right. Devin Booker, we talked about them last week. They're still high up in the standings. We'll see where they end up. Spurs are a 5-5 team. Trailblazers, they're below 500, but they could easily be above 500.
Oh yeah, hands down. Especially if Dame Lillard keeps going off. CJ McCollum will eventually get it going. They got Hassan Whiteside this year at center, who I still have high hopes on. I think he has some good talent. It all comes down to what's going to happen in the West. Phoenix, without DeAndre Ayton, I don't know how many more games they're going to keep winning because he definitely is a big factor on that offense next to Devin Booker. I could see them falling out. Utah's playing well. San Antonio, Portland, those two teams will somehow sneak up, I would say. It all comes down to Dallas, Minnesota. Cat is having himself a good year, minus getting choked out last week.
And then talking smack, even though he was the worst player.
He didn't. Yeah, that was just. It was sloppy. It was definitely sloppy, but he's been balling out pretty well. They have Andrew Wiggins, who I haven't been the biggest fan of since he came into the league. He's there strictly to score and doesn't score efficiently all the time. He's not a stat stuffer. I feel like eventually, I don't know, he's got a huge contract, so I don't know what they're going to do with him. So that West, I would say the top 8 as it is right now is looking pretty nice. Not nice as in good, but accurate as to what we might see towards the end of the season. Especially with Denver playing extremely well. They're on a 4-game winning streak. We knew they were going to be a top team. That's pretty much what we're getting out of the West. What you see is what you get over there. They're all, I mean, there's a lot of good teams, a lot of good talent. Versus the East, we don't know. You can flip a coin at that point.
Going back to the Hassan Whiteside, same man. I forgot that he moved teams. Pau Gasol's on that team, which I forgot about. Hassan Whiteside, he is
Hassan Whiteside right now.
Oh, he's 30. He's 30. So not bad, but I always think about how in the NBA it seems so often where you'll get these guys who are great at basketball and then they aren't even 35 or towards the end of their athletic career and they just forget how to play basketball.
It happens too often.
You saw it with Whiteside. You saw it with Andrew Bynum a long time ago.
Andrew Bynum was the guy coming into the league. Came to the league at 18? Big 6'11", 7 foot, maybe even a little bit taller than that. And he had shown signs, but it just didn't work out. He won a title, though, with Kobe, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that was when he was good.
That was when he was good, but that was only a couple-year span. And then all of a sudden, it makes you wonder, is it the player? Is it the scheme that he's playing in? Hassan Whiteside, I think, going to Portland was definitely a huge upside for him, considering that team likes to shoot the basketball and he's there to grab boards. He's averaging 4 offensive rebounds a game, which
it's pretty good.
I'm sure is up there as far as leading. He's only averaging 15 a game, but that's all they need when he's pulling 14 boards a game. I would say overall Portland's a good team. Again, we'll see what they do. They're kind of a weird team. They'll end up going on a huge run, going to the playoffs. Dame Lillard hits a game winner from half court.
Yeah, they're currently playing right now. They're up 38-31. Whiteside, 4 points, 4 boards in the second quarter, so he's on pace for a double-double. I think they'll get the dub tonight.
Yeah, they should be able to. They're facing the Kings, which the Kings aren't the worst. They're not playing the best. I mean, they're the Kings. You don't expect much from them. But I would expect Portland to win. Lakers are in a close one with Phoenix. It's funny, we were just talking about Phoenix and how we're not sure if they would keep winning. But right now they're pressing the Lakers. It's 99-97 Lakers. 8 minutes in the fourth. So maybe Phoenix is better than what we were just saying without DeAndre Ayton. As of right now, nobody on the Lakers is really going off. Anthony Davis has 19 points, 9 boards. That's, I would say, a okay game for him.
Same with Phoenix. No one has over 20 for them, but they have a bunch of guys 15 plus. Frank Kaminsky just got that, so they have 5 guys 15 plus on their team.
Yeah, they have a lot of guys who overall can score. They do spread the ball pretty well. Dario, their forward, I know he's been around the league. He played with Philly, if I'm not mistaken.
And then he got traded in the Jimmy Butler
trade. Yeah. So he was putting up numbers at one point. Aaron Baines has been consistently scoring, which we saw him do on and off with Boston.
Mm-hmm. Frank Kaminsky, again, we talked about him last week. We were just like, he's just okay.
Local legend over here.
And he has 16 points and 9 boards.
Yeah, that's huge. 7 of 10 shooting, 2 for 3. That's efficient scoring right there. And he's still -2. That's the funny part, which actually is the game is -2. Lakers 101, Phoenix 99. Kyle Kuzma.
He's coming back.
Coming back around, 17 points off the bench in 20 minutes. It's nice to see. He's going to be a huge factor for this team down the stretch and in the playoffs, along with the role players that they have. So maybe Phoenix does sneak in as a top 8.
Dwight Howard off the bench too. The Lakers bench right now, you have Rondo, Caruso, Kuzma, Dwight Howard, and then Caldwell Pope. That's their bench 5 right there. That's not a bad bench 5. It's not a playoff bench 5, but that's a pretty decent bench. Dwight
potential.
Howard, 10 points in 17 minutes with 6 boards. He's 5 of 7. I completely forgot that JaVale McGee is starting over Dwight Howard. Did you ever think you would say that?
No, and I know that there's games where Howard will start. I think it's gonna be based on who they play, the scheme that they're gonna run.
And height-wise?
Height plays a factor. McGee's tall. I mean, they're both tall. 7-foot centers. Efficiency, I should say, is gonna be a huge factor on their bench. If you look, Rajon Rondo, sure, 5 points. I'm not mad. If I was a fan, I wouldn't be mad. You don't expect much. The fact that he has 6 boards and 7 assists, that's the efficiency you want from Rondo off the bench. If he eventually slides in, I see him starting some games, maybe in the playoffs. Rondo's just talented at the point guard position when there's no drama.
Yeah, if they have injury problems, I don't think it'll be as bad.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to come down to. And that's going to be for, I would say, most of these teams, even the Clippers right now, dealing with their injuries. As long as their core can stay healthy, I can see the Lakers going to the finals this year. LeBron's playing like he's 27 again. I mean, it's like he's never slowed down.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
He's putting up a great year right now, 24.6, 8.3 rebounds, 11 assists.
Averaging probably over 30 minutes a game.
35.
35 minutes a game at his age. He is 35, right? So
He'll turn 35 in a month.
Okay. How many 35-year-olds are there in the league that play 30, 35 minutes a game? None.
Not a lot.
None. Maybe a couple. But even then, like that's incredible right there. And I know a lot of people are, I'm not going to get into it, but there's a lot of hate on LeBron, but he's shown why he is the king. Regardless of him having Anthony Davis next to him, he is and always will be the X factor on any team that he plays with, no matter who's on his team. Anthony Davis is a nice addition, but for him to be playing at his age with the efficiency that he is, it says a lot.
I think he's the MVP of the league right now.
Yes. He's not averaging the most points, but I would say efficient-wise, and the fact that they have 7 wins, they're the top dog in the West. I would give it to him. Maybe Harden is falling out. You know,
we just have to see how it plans out.
It's still early.
Or it pans out.
Yeah. It's a long season for the NBA. Obviously, not as long as the MLB. But anything could happen. Who knows? Maybe we'll see Russ average a triple-double a game and Harden still average 36 a game. And at that point, it's like, okay, maybe one of those guys.
Yeah, or Anthony Davis steals it. But I think LeBron, at this moment, is at least in contention. He's
top
up
3.
there for MVP.
We'll call it top 3 right now. Again, like you said, it's still early in the season. I still truly believe that Lakers are the number 1 seed going through to the end of the season. Maybe the Clippers are number 2, I guess. Paul George is going to come back around, and it's going to be a scary defense. A very scary defense. So,
yeah, it's pretty much all of the NBA for this week.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I would say, yeah, let's follow up next week. We want to thank you guys for tuning in, watching us on YouTube, listening to us on Spotify. Again, we are on Spotify finally. Make sure you listen, subscribe, download, like, whatever it may be. Again, Instagram, Twitter, SR Only Pod, YouTube, and Spotify. We are the Standing Room Only Podcast. I am Goose. We are here with Healy. Make sure you follow our personal accounts. Healy, your feed is
The Healy 6.
The Healy 6. I am iGoose. That's with 4 O's. Feel free to follow us as well. Again, if you guys, whoever's listening, if you have any questions, want to talk any fantasy, sports, anything, feel free to tweet us, message us, whatever it may be. If you want us to talk about certain subjects, topics, we can do that too. That's it.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Standing Room Only Podcast.